Duit, agus fáilte, beautiful temple dwellers, hello and welcome. I did just want to introduce a new member here of the temple. His name is Bronson. If you're watching the video, he's a little Jack Russell and he's about 12 weeks and he is the best in the world. So we did just want to introduce him before we get into the video. So Duit, agus fáilte, hello and welcome, beautiful temple dwellers. In this temple library entry we are diving into the Morrígan and why she is calling. We will close also with an oracle card from Morrígan and see what wisdom she's inviting us to reflect on. So in this one, we're kicking it off with a question, and it is why over 1500 years after her stories were first written down, are more witches being drawn to the Morrígan? Is she just a goddess? Is she just a queen of war? Or does she represent something much deeper? So grab a cup of tea and join me as we dive in. So I will talk a little bit more about me personal relationship and journey with the Morrígan later, but for now we'll get stuck in. So who is the Morrígan? The Morrígan is a goddess of war, of sovereignty in Irish mythology. She is also known as the Great Queen or the Phantom Queen, and she forms part of the pantheon of Celtic gods and goddesses and is linked with the Tuatha De Danann and a mythical race who later turned into the Fae in some stories. So she is a shape-shifting goddess, taking many forms in ancient Irish literature. She has been known to shift into a crow or a raven, and she is also known to shift into a wolf, an eel, a cow, a horse, and a young or an old woman. So I am going to move on to the three sisters and the three aspects, and as ever I'm not an academic or a historian. There's plenty of beautiful people out there doing that, so I'm just touching on this, and if you'd like to dive deeper you can. Maybe you're already working with the Morrígan. She is really, really prevalent right now, along with a lot of the other darker goddesses, with the energy that's happening at the moment and the injustice. So we are moving on to the three sisters and the three aspects. So the Morrígan is often labelled as a triple goddess, like the maiden, the mother and the crone. But these aspects are sisters, and they're sometimes also named the daughters of Irmas. So the first one we have is Baviv. It's spelled Badabi. She is the goddess of battle. The name translates to the battle crow. She is the embodiment of death itself, and also battles, strategy and prophecy and bloodshed. Her cries and the cries of this the crow can be heard over the battlefields. So then the second aspect that we have is Macha. I'll write the name up here. It's spelled like Macha, but it's Macha. This is the goddess of the land, of sovereignty. In the stories, she's called on to protect the land and its people and the sovereignty, uprooting anyone that's broken their sacred contract with the other world And then the third aspect is Niamh. I'll put the name up here because it's in Irish. She is linked with the battle frenzy, the terror, the psychological chaos during war. She has a terrifying sound, and her shrieks incite panic, fear into the enemy camps. It's said that soldiers would drop dead from fright from the noise of this shriek. So in a moment we're going to get into Macha's story and the course. As you can't really touch on Irish folklore or mythology without going into a little bit of the mythology and the story, but it's always layered and it's complicated, so I'm just keeping it kind of short and sweet in this one. Okay, so we're gonna get into Macha's story and the course. One of my favourites. It is one of the most powerful stories connected with the Morrigan, the tradition in Macha's tale. As ever, I do have some notes here because I'm not going to remember all of this off the top of my head. And we don't want to go on too many tangents. So, Macha was living as the wife of a wealthy man named Croagh. She was heavily pregnant with twins before Croagh went to a royal gathering. She warned him not to boast about her. At the gathering, wouldn't you fucking know it? After watching the king's horses race, Croagh foolishly boasted that his wife could outrun the king's horses. The king ordered Macha to be brought before him and forced her to race, despite her pleading that she was about to give birth to twins. I don't know whether I wrote that down. So she appeals to the men of Ulster, reminding them that every one of them had been born of a mother, but none of them stood up for her. So Macha won the race, but the effort brought on labour. After giving birth to the twins, she cursed the men of Ulster. And the curse was whenever Ulster was in its greatest need, the men of Ulster would be struck by the pains of childbirth, leaving them unable to fight. The course would endure for 5 days and 4 nights and would last for 9 generations. So the course becomes hugely important later on in the cattle raid of Chulainn. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it in Irish there, because almost all of the warriors of Ulster are incapacitated, leaving Chulainn to defend Ulster single-handedly. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Macha wasn't fucking around there. 9 generations that one lasted. So the next one I'm going to touch on is another one with the Morrigan and Chulainn. So the Morrigan came to Chulainn as a beautiful woman, offering her love and support in his battles. Chulainn rejected her, saying he was too busy fighting to focus on a woman. So this angered the Morrigan. An insult. She swore she would hinder him in the upcoming fights. So the shape-shifting battles during the fight, she turned into an eel in the water. He struck back and broke her ribs. She then attacked next as a wolf, but he hit her and put one of her eyes out. She charged him as a red heifer, leading him to strike her with a stone and blind her in one form of attack. So then the trick and the healing. Exhausted from the battle, Chulainn met an old, blind and lame woman milking a 3-titted cow. She offered him milk. With each drink he took, he gave her a blessing, which accidentally healed all her wounds he had given her earlier. Once she stood up straight and whole again. She revealed her true identity as the Morrigan before vanishing. So, wow, how powerful. I have tingles, I always do, from the Irish folklore and mythology, especially working with Morrigan. So powerful, really, like it touches something. But we are going to move on to why she's still speaking today. So the Morrigan is speaking today about reclaiming sovereignty, standing against injustice, protecting the land, refusing oppression. She's also working a lot with shadow work and with transformation. So I'm just going to touch on my little bit of personal workings with her. I have been working with her a few years now. Every few months also I attend a priesthood, which is a devotional gathering with other witches who work with her. And every time listening to how each person experiences her presence and guidance is so moving every time, you know. Everyone's relationship with her is unique, but there's often a common thread running through it of courage, of transformation, of personal sovereignty, of sexuality, of femininity, of feminism. But I also feel personally as well, it's not just feminism, it's any gender or identity. She helps you stand and reclaim and hold that true, put it out to the world, not being afraid of sharing yourself. So we're just going to touch on some modern practices and devotion. So some lessons as warriors of old, the same ones but a different view. She is teaching us our sovereignty, our strength, our voice, aiding us in our battles, whether they're in the collective, whether they're personal battles. We fight within ourselves. I was going to say almost every day, but maybe it's not every day, but I suppose we have little battles that come up every day. And not to abandon ourselves. So I feel the old stories were never meant to stay buried in the past. They still whisper through the land memory and the questions we continue to ask. So some of the signs also that the Morrigan is calling to you before we move on to closing here with a Morrigan oracle. The call of the Morrigan, I forgot it was even actually called that. So signs the Morrigan is calling: a strong pull to the Morrigan, frequent thoughts and ideas, the presence of crows and ravens. Now I know that they are linked in with a lot of other gods and goddesses and deities also, but I feel like when the Morrigan starts coming in and working with you, you definitely know it's the Morrigan after not too long. Strong emotional reactions to her mythology, to her symbolism, and synchronicities coming in also. Dreams, visions, keeping journals also is a good practice. As you probably already know. I was going to say I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but I don't like that fucking saying because we all know how I feel about religious drama. So yeah, we are going to move on to closing now with a pull of an Oracle Morrigan card. So forgive me if there's some witch dust on this desk. I have to get up and clean this temple out soon. But we're going to pull an oracle card, just one here, for some. Is that one? Oh, that's two. Fuck's sake, I hate when they do this. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Right, we got Aldris. Gonna have a look into this now. So the meaning and guidance that is coming for us from this card is about rethinking things, taking a little pause, not letting our emotions rule our actions, just taking a little check if we're being stubborn anywhere, because it can lead to not so good consequences if we're not smart about it. Also just guiding us to like learn and move into change, moving forward, and not being as rigid, and working also with the Morrigan for transformation, knowing that we can get through anything, and tapping into the wisdom so that we don't repeat mistakes.